Hello everyone, once again, this is Yeshua Said My Name. Welcome to the channel. Thank you to the new subscribers that have joined on for these deep conversations about the last days and all the different deep topics that we discuss here that you may not feel there's a platform for you, maybe within your local congregation or your family or even coworkers and friends. So thank you for joining this channel. I wanted this channel to be a place where we could all come and share these deeper topics. Now, honestly, this channel was put on my heart by the Lord about a decade ago. So yes, I've already been running this channel for about 10 years, thanks to the Lord. And he's the one who put it on my mind, that there needs to be a place for people to come and discuss these deeper topics about the last days that I don't believe are discussed very much. I think the topics that are discussed on this channel, whether it's Freemasonry, the Vatican, the papacy, the fallen angels, the Nephilim, the UFO phenomena being the false gods and the fallen angels, no matter what it is we discuss on this channel, I believe most people would think are fringe or science fiction or kind of crazy. Well, I don't. And I personally happen to believe that Satan is preparing to make war with Christ when he returns. And one of the reasons the Lord urged me to make this channel was to start coming out and exposing, primarily in the beginning, it was to expose the Pope of Rome and the seat of the papacy as the fulfillment of the man of sin. Okay, modern Vatican city-state as being Mystery Babylon in Revelation 17, and God's judgment of her in Revelation 18. I believe we are seeing her. Modern Vatican city-state is the fulfillment of Revelation 17. The papacy in Rome is the Antichrist. It's the seat of a man that Daniel spoke of that would exalt himself above all that is worshipped and all that is called God. I've done videos in the past exposing how the popes of Rome themselves have called themselves God on earth. This is not just conjecture or my opinion. I've proven this on this channel. So if you go into the search bar on this channel and look up videos that I've done on the papacy proclaiming itself to be God, you'll see for yourself the proof that is presented. But I first of all want to give a shout out to some of the new members that we've had join my Patreon page. I've noticed that you've been coming on and enjoying the live chat conversations that are going on. I stop in from time to time myself to see what new conversations are starting. So even if you're not a paid patron, okay, please feel free to stop by and enjoy the chat. So Patreon launched a platform, which I'm happy about, where we can all come in and chat together. So I think it would be interesting if you came and shared testimonies, or if you just wanted a more private forum to discuss things. This Patreon chat room that's available on my Patreon page now is for you, whether you're a paid member or a freed member. Now, when it comes to paid members, I want to thank you, because if it wasn't for you, I would not have been able to buy the laptop I'm using right now to make these videos. The laptop I had for a couple of years broke, and I would have only been relegated to using my phone, which is not the best for me. So I thank you. It's because of your support that I was able to purchase what I needed to keep the channel going, and I thank you for that very much. In this video, as promised before in my previous video, I wanted to show you some pictures that I've been taking on my cell phone and on my telescope. For my 56th birthday, two of my sons purchased me a telescope. And I've always loved looking at the heavens. The heavens declare the glory of God. And I've always loved anything to do with the stars and the heavens. I'm a very amateur. I'm very amateur at this. I'm very new at this. So anything that I show you on my phone or that I've taken on my telescope and I post on my Facebook page. I do have a Facebook page where I will post some of my pictures that I've taken on my telescope and on my phone. They're very amateurish, so just bear with me as I get better at this and more advanced, hopefully. But I wanted to give God glory. Every galaxy, all the stars in the heavens, everything God created is for his glory. And I love looking at them. So I wanted to share with you a couple of pictures that I took, a few pictures actually, that I took on my phone last night, actually yesterday morning around 4 a.m. I happened to be awake, and I can get some good pictures of Jupiter then. I've gotten good pictures of Orion's belt, and I wanted to show you some pictures that I took on my phone of Jupiter and Orion's belt, and some pictures I had taken the previous night on my telescope that I was able to transfer to my phone of the moon, which I thought were really nice. What's interesting is during my capturing of these photos on my phone, I captured some things, and this is not the first time this has happened to me before. I've captured some things that I can't explain, that I couldn't see with the naked eye, but I could see through my phone. So I'm not saying what this is that I captured. I don't know what it is. I'm not on here to say this is what it is. I don't know. I'm leaving it up to you, the viewer, to decide what you think it is. Okay. But I figured I'd share a couple of the things that I took on my phone and on my telescope and share them with you. And then a couple of the anomalies that I found on my phone that I can't explain, and maybe you can. All right. Maybe you can, and there's a simple explanation for it. All I know is this isn't the first time this has happened to me. So yesterday morning around 4 a.m., I happened to catch a picture of Jupiter, which is the brightest thing you'll see on the screen here, along with Orion's belt. And I have several other pictures I can show you too. But if you look here, this is Jupiter. It's the light, of course, is spreading. It's very hard to see. And of course, you can see Orion's belt toward the bottom, down here. Down on this side, you can see Orion's belt, but that's Jupiter up top. Okay, and then here is another picture of Jupiter and Orion's belt that I captured yesterday morning at 4 a.m. Okay, another picture of Jupiter. The brightest thing you can see there in the picture is Jupiter. I know it's coming across kind of blurry, but that's the brightest object in the sky. Here's another picture of Jupiter and Orion's belt that I captured. And again, I love anything astronomy. I'll be out there in the evenings sometimes, late at night, especially if I can't sleep. There are times I deal with insomnia issues. I do. And which is another story in itself. But when I can't sleep, I'll get out there with my telescope or my phone and talk to the Lord and just go out and take pictures. I captured this picture of the moon the other night on my telescope and thought I would show you that. This was yesterday evening. I captured this. This is another picture. It's a little bit overexposed. Came through my telescope, a little overexposed there. And this is the third picture that I took of the moon on my telescope. Let's see here. Now, a couple of pictures that I captured that I thought were interesting I thought were rather anomalous, that I couldn't quite figure out what they were. As a matter of fact, like I said, when I held my phone up and I was taking a picture of the constellation Orion, or the moon, I wasn't seeing anything anomalous through my phone, with the naked eye. But after I took pictures, I happened to notice some things that I didn't see with the naked eye. And when I blew them up larger, they caught my interest. And maybe you can tell me what they are. I happen to see, now they start off very faint looking. Now this is something I couldn't see with the naked eye that showed up on my phone down here. But if you blow it up, let me see if I can blow it up for you. It looks like that. I don't know what that is. It's not a meteorite burning into the atmosphere, I don't think. But yet when I first took the picture of it on my phone, it was very tiny. And I didn't even really notice it at first. I was just trying to get an image of the night sky. And then I didn't see it with the naked eye. But when I took a picture, this little red object appeared. This red object appeared, and I don't know what it is. It's actually red. You can't see it very well in here, but it's actually red. But it started off looking almost like just a little pin dot on my phone. Here's another one. Let me see. Here's another one like it. You can barely see it if you see like a little dot there on my phone. But yet if you blow it up, it looks like this. It's very strange. But yet if you condense it, I couldn't really see much of it through my phone, but it just looks like a little dot. But I couldn't see it with the naked eye. It wasn't until after I took the picture that I saw this. And then when I blew it up, it looked like that. So I don't know what that is. Let me see. Maybe you can tell me. And yet there were other times I was taking pictures of the constellations and the stars and they look completely normal. Like this is what I would see through my phone. It just looked completely normal. And I couldn't figure out, or a picture of the moon here that just looked completely normal. But when I blew those pictures up of those little dots that showed up on my phone, this is what they looked like. And I can't figure out what it is, like what it could be. Here's another image. It could be something as simple as, I don't know, a lightning bug flying by, and that's how the camera captured it. But it started off looking like, just, if you can see that, just a little dot. But again, with the naked eye, you can probably see the stars around it. Like I was trying to catch the stars with my phone, but with the naked eye, I couldn't see that little red dot. And then when I expanded it, that's when it started looking like this. And I looked at it going, what is this? What is that? So I found these anomalies on my phone. But like I said, when I was taking normal pictures of the constellations, this is what, I was getting pictures of the stars the other night. This is what it looked like. Just normal stars. Then as I would zero in on a darker part of the sky, I didn't, like I said, all I saw was a couple little stars that were coming through. And then I turned on my night vision. And maybe that's what it was. I'm starting to think now. I turned on my night vision because my phone has night vision with it. It can see, not infrared, but night vision. And maybe that's why I couldn't see it with my naked eye, and it picked this up on my phone with the night vision. So when I was taking pictures without the night vision, this is what I got. This is without night vision. When I took pictures with the night vision, with the night vision, this is what I got. Couldn't see with the naked eye, again, but yet blown up, that's what it looks like. Blown up with the night vision. Let me center that more for you. So this is with night vision, with the night vision, and this is without the night vision. So what is it I'm looking at? I don't know. Sorry about that. I don't know what I'm looking at. So this is with regular, without night vision. Night vision. Night vision. Let me see. Regular through the telescope. My views of the moon. I'd even thought about starting a YouTube channel just to put up pictures that I find on my telescope and my phone, and just starting a YouTube channel sharing the pictures I find. And of course, this is, sorry about that, this is night vision. Now, maybe that's why I'm picking these anomalies up. I don't know, but I didn't see it with the naked eye. I had my night vision on, so I take pictures with night vision and without, just to see the contrast, to see the difference. So when I did do the night vision, I saw this little dot after I took the picture, and yet this is what comes out of it. And I don't know what it is. Is it a bug? Flying past the camera, maybe the night vision's picking it up. We're into mid-October now. I don't have lightning bugs out anymore. So I'm not sure what it is I picked up. But so this is without night vision. And yet this is with night vision. So I figured I'd show you that. And then of course a couple of the pictures I took of the moon the other night with the new telescope that two of my sons graciously purchased me because they know how much I love to look at the stars. So I figured I would share that with you guys. I'm not quite sure what to make of it. You be the judge of it, as always. You tell me what you think. I'm open to anything. I really don't know. What I want to do, though, is to share with you some of the book of Enoch. Now, I know for some of you, this is a controversial book, and I realize that, So please, as I read from this, know that I do understand that some do not agree with the book of Enoch, do not believe it belongs in Scripture. I feel for me, though, as a testimony, the Lord has used it in my life to explain to me Genesis chapter 6 about the Nephilim. He's used it as a companion for me to explain Jude's own words about the fallen angels. As a matter of fact, before we get into the book of Enoch, let me look up Jude's words about the fallen angels, and we'll read about what Jude said about the fallen angels. All right, Jude, chapter 1, verse 6. And the angels who did not keep their proper domain, but left their own abode, he, meaning God, has reserved in everlasting chains under darkness into that great day of judgment. And then he goes on to talk about how, and the angels which kept not their first estate, but committed fornication, he goes on to say in the same chapter. And this is in 1 Jude. All right, this is in Jude chapter 1. Jude goes on to say the angels did not keep their proper place and that they committed fornication with strange flesh. So let's see here. Oh, I can find that for you. Okay, so these angels that God has locked up right now that were the first incursion, God says that they serve as an example to those who suffer the punishment of eternal fire. That just as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities around them, since they in the same way, meaning the angels, as these angels indulged in sexual perversion, some translations say, or fornication, and went after strange flesh. Well, strange can also mean different flesh. We are of a different flesh than the angels. Genesis chapter 6 says, the sons of God, or the angels of God, saw that the daughters of man, human women, were appealing to them and took wives of all that they chose, and they bore giants to them. So what Jude is saying here is that likewise, these angels are being held that did this in the first incursion, the first 200 angels that fell on Mount Hermon, okay, and took human wives and begat Nephilim giants and mixed seed offspring. The Lord is keeping them as an example for the second incursion. And I've already told you why I believe there's a second incursion of a mixed seed taking place in this world, and how I believe that the Sasquatch phenomena is part of that mixed seed incursion. That likewise, it says he is keeping them as an example because they committed fornication, going after strange flesh. You and I are of one flesh. The angels are of a different flesh. Remember, back in Genesis chapter 6, what did the Lord say to Satan in the garden? I will put war or enmity between your seed, he's speaking to Satan, and the seed of the woman. The seed of the woman is Christ and those born of Christ's seed, those who are Christ's offspring. If you are born again Christian, you are an offspring of God. Okay? So there is a seed war going on between God's children and God's seed, and fallen angel Nephilim seed. And I believe that, yes, that's why the first flood came. The Lord promised never to flood the world again. He has not, but he will come back a second time to put all his enemies under his feet and put this second incursion to an end. And that's why I believe when I read Jude's words about the angels committing fornication with strange or different flesh. Strange can also mean different flesh. The DNA, remember in previous videos we've talked about the Sasquatch having human mother DNA, but the paternal DNA cannot be found in GenBank. I firmly believe that's because these sons of God, these powers and principalities of the air, are mixing their seed once again with the seed of men in these last days to create an army in this world because Satan knows his time is short. So I wanted to make this video to show you some of these pictures that I took on my telescope and my phone, some with night vision, some without, that I can't explain. Maybe you can explain it to me. I'm not saying one way or another what it is. I don't know. I just know that after the strange happenings I've had on my property with Sasquatch, I don't doubt that the veil is thinning and that the Lord is allowing me to see things that I wasn't able to see before. I just don't doubt it. And if you're a new subscriber, you can backtrack on this channel and listen to the testimony that I've given and the pictures I've given. I have photographic evidence of what has taken place on my property with these Sasquatch. All right. And I have an interesting video coming up that I hope that you will tune in to see. I'll either make it tomorrow or sometime next week, dealing with the area I live in. Personally, I live in rural Maryland, not far from the mountains, where my area has been known for these sightings. And I have a few interesting things I want to show you about that in an upcoming video that I hope you'll tune in for. Where again, I will share my photographic evidence with you in an upcoming video. But let's delve into a little bit of the book of Enoch. I'll read a few pages for you from that. What I'm asking you to do is consider that this book is still considered canon, okay? in Ethiopian churches and some of the churches in Africa with our brothers and sisters there, it's still considered canon. Okay, and I know that some do not consider it canon. I respect you for that. But I feel that God has shown me this book as a really good handbook. First Enoch is a very good handbook to explain Genesis chapter 6, Jude's words about the fallen angels, what Ezekiel spoke of, what the book of Revelation talks about, these beings that look like frogs going out to the kings of the earth to work with them to make war with Christ when he returns. I feel like this book Enoch wrote for a remote generation, and we are that remote generation that was yet to come that I think he was writing about. So let's get into that. I wet my throat a little bit here. All right. So hopefully you're still with me with this. All right. So chapter 1. The words of the blessing of Enoch, wherewith he blessed the elect, which means God's chosen, who will be living in the day of tribulation, when all of the wicked and godless are to be removed. Verse 2, and he took up his parable and said, Enoch, a righteous man, whose eyes were opened by God, saw the vision of the Holy One in the heavens, which the angels showed me. And from them I heard everything, and from them I understood as I saw, but not for this generation, but for a remote generation, one which is to come. Notice that Enoch is saying here, let's backtrack, God is showing him a revelation for a remote generation to come. And I believe he's writing about us, about these last days. This seed war that's resurfacing again, a second incursion of Nephilim and hybrid offspring, this army that Satan is building before the Lord comes back. And from the angels, Enoch says, I heard everything, and from them I understood as I saw, not for this generation alone, but for a remote one, which is yet to come. Concerning the elect, I said, and took up my parable concerning them, the holy great one will come forth from his dwelling. And the eternal God will tread upon the earth, even on Mount Sinai, and appear from his camp, and appear in the strength of his might from the heaven of heavens. And all shall be smitten with fear. Now we're talking about the great day of the Lord. And the watchers shall quake. Now the watchers is another name for angels. Okay, so we have the sons of God, the watchers, the angels. So the watchers fall under the same guidelines as the sons of God or the angels. So he's calling them the watchers here. And the watchers shall quake, and great fear and trembling shall seize them into the ends of the earth. And the high mountains shall be shaken, and the high hills shall be made low, and shall melt like wax before the flame. And the earth shall be wholly rent in sunder, and all that is upon the earth shall perish, and there shall be a judgment upon all men. But with the righteous he will make peace, and will protect the elect, and mercy shall be upon them. That means you will be protected. Remember when Jesus said in Matthew 24, if it were possible, even the elect could be deceived? If you belong to Christ and you're born again, you won't be deceived. You'll know what this UFO phenomenon is. You'll know what the Nephilim are. You'll know what these fallen angels are doing and what their false gospel is. You will not be deceived by the power of the Holy Spirit. The elect, I believe, will be protected by God. If it were possible, the Lord said, the elect could be deceived. If it were possible. But with the righteous God, he will make peace and will protect the elect, and mercy shall be upon them, and they shall all belong to God, and they shall be prospered, and they shall all be blessed, and he will help them all. And light shall appear unto them, and he will make peace with them. And behold, he cometh with 10,000s of his holy ones to execute judgment upon all. Now remember, that's written in the scriptures. He comes with 10,000s of his saints. That's actually in the scriptures. The prophet was quoting from the book of Enoch when he said this. Zecharia, I believe, is the one who quoted this. And behold, he cometh with 10,000s of his saints. This is verse 9 of chapter 1 in the book of Enoch. He comes with 10,000s of his holy ones to execute judgment upon all and destroy all the ungodly, and to convict all flesh of all the works of their ungodliness, which they have ungodly committed, and all of the hard things which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. Chapter 2, observe ye everything that takes place in the heaven, how they do not change their orbits, and the luminaries which are in the heaven, and how they all rise and set in order, each in its season, and transgress not their appointed order. Everything can be mathematically calculated when it comes to biblical cosmology. Everything is mathematically perfect, and we know that God did this. Remember that the heavens declare the glory of God. Behold ye earth, and give heed to the things which take place upon it from first to last, how steadfast they are, how none of the things upon the earth changes, but all the works of God appear to you. Behold the summer and winter, how the whole earth is filled with water, and the clouds and dew and rain lie upon it. Chapter 3. Observe and see how, in the winter, all the trees seem as though they had withered and shed all their leaves, except 14 trees, which do not lose their foliage, but retain old foliage from 2 to 3 years till the new comes. All right. And let me get on to here. Okay, this is talking about the steadfastness of the earth. All right, now we're going to get into chapter 6, okay, which I believe, okay, in 1 Enoch, chapter 6 is discussing, it's a perfect companion to Genesis chapter 6, in my opinion. All right, this is about the fall of the angels that landed on Mount Hermon, okay? And it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied in those days. Now remember, this is from 1 Enoch, chapter 6. That when children in those days, men had multiplied in those days, and children were born to them, and comely beautiful daughters as well. And the angels, the children of heaven, saw them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. Does this not remind you of Genesis chapter 6? This is coming from the book of Enoch. Okay? So basically, Enoch is saying the same thing that Genesis chapter 6 just said. And the angels, the children of heaven, saw the daughters of men and said, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men and beget us children. And Semjaza, who was their leader, said unto them, I fear ye will not indeed agree to do this deed. I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin. And they all answered and said, Let us all swear an oath and bind ourselves by mutual imprecations not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing. Then they all together bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. Verse 6 says, And they were in all 200 who descended in the days of Jared on the summit of Mount Hermon. Chapter 7. And all the others together with them took unto themselves wives, and each chose for himself one, and they began to go into them and to defile themselves with them. And they taught them charms, enchantments, the cutting of roots. And the women became pregnant, and they bare great giants. Now let's stop right there for a minute. Genesis chapter 6. They bare great giants, the Nephilim, whose height was 3,000 ells, who consumed all the acquisitions of men, and when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. They began to sin against the birds and beasts and reptiles and fish, and to devour one another's flesh and drink the blood, and the earth laid accusation against the lawless ones. All right, and it goes on to talk about how Azazel, another one of the fallen angels, was teaching the metals of the earth. Ezekiel was teaching the knowledge of the clouds. Arachiel was teaching the signs of the earth and the signs of the sun. And it said at the end of chapter 8, And as men perished, they cried, and their cry went up to heaven. And then Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel looked down from heaven and saw much blood being shed upon the earth. Now these are archangels that serve the Lord, that have been faithful to God. Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel. And they said to one another, The earth made without inhabitant cries their voice up, crying to the gates of heaven. And now to you, the holy ones of heaven, the souls of men, make their suit, saying, Bring our cause before the Most High. And they said to the Lord of the ages, Lord of lords, God of gods, and King of kings, God of the ages, and throne of thy glory, unto all generations of the ages, thy name holy and glorious and blessed unto all ages. Thou hast made all things, and hast power over all things. And all things are naked and open in thy sight. Now, doesn't this remind you of the New Testament, that there's nothing hidden from the eyes of God, that all things are made bare before the Lord? This is all this is saying. I'm reading directly from it. All things are naked and open in thy sight, and thou seest all things, and nothing can hide itself from thee. Then it goes on to say, Thou seest what Azazel has done, and hath taught all unrighteousness on the earth, and revealed the eternal secrets which were preserved in heaven, which men were striving to learn. and Semjaza, to whom thou hast given authority to bear over his associates. They have gone to the daughters of men upon the earth, and have slept with the women, and have defiled themselves with strange flesh, and revealed to them all kinds of sins. And the women have borne giants, and the whole earth has thereby been filled with blood and unrighteousness. Verse 10, and now, behold, the souls of those who have died are crying, and making their suit to the gates of heaven, and their lamentations have ascended, and cannot cease because of the lawless deeds which are wrought on the earth. And thou knowest all things, O Lord, before they come to pass. And thou seest these things, and thou dost suffer them. And thou dost not say to us what we are to do to them in regard to these. So the angels are saying, Gabriel, Raphael, Michael are asking the Lord, what would you have us do? These cries of men are going up to heaven. They're taking wives and begetting giants. And men are crying up to the Most High. Then the Most High, the Holy and Great One, spoke and sent Uriel to the son of Lamech and said to him, go to Noah and tell him in my name, hide thyself, and reveal to him the end is approaching, that the whole earth will be destroyed, and a deluge or a flood is about to come upon the whole earth and will destroy all that is on it. And now instruct him that he may escape and his seed may be preserved for all the generations of the world. So what is God saying here to Uriel? Go to Noah and tell him I'm sending a flood. I've heard the cries coming up to me about what these fallen angels have done, about these Nephilim giants, and I'm sending a flood. So what he says here is hide thyself and reveal to him the end that is approaching. This is God speaking to Uriel, saying, go to Noah and say this, that the whole earth will be destroyed and a deluge is about to come and will destroy all that is on it. And now instruct him that he may escape and his seed may be preserved for all generations of the world. Remember, and it was said in Genesis that Noah was perfect in his generations. This meant his genetic makeup. He was untouched by this Nephilim mixed seed. That's what it meant when it said Noah was perfect in his generations in Genesis. Now, so far, have we read anything in here that I've read to you from 1 Enoch? Have I read anything in here that contradicts Genesis chapter 6 or the words of Jude? Not that I can see. Okay? And place upon him rough. Okay, I'm sorry. And the Lord said to Raphael, bind Azazel hand and foot and cast him into the darkness. Azazel was one of the fallen angels. Bind him in the darkness and make an opening in the desert and cast him therein. And place upon him rough and jagged rocks and cover him with darkness and let him abide there forever. And cover his face that he may not see light. And on the day of the great judgment he shall be cast into the fire. And heal the earth which the angels have corrupted. And proclaim the healing of the earth, that they may heal the plague, and that all the children of men may not perish through all the secret things that the watchers have disclosed and have taught their sons, which are the Nephilim. And the whole earth had been corrupted through the works that were taught by Azazel. Ascribe to him all sin, the Lord said. And to Gabriel, the Lord said, proceed against the bastards and the reprobates and against the children of fornication. Again, the word fornication. Jude used the word fornication in the book of Jude we read. And destroy the children of their fornication, the children of the watchers, destroy them from amongst men. And send them once against the other, so they may destroy the other in battle. For length of days shall they have not. And no request that they make, or their fathers of thee, shall be granted on their behalf. For they hope to live eternal life, that each one of them will live. And the Lord said unto Michael, go bind Semjaza and his associates, and have united themselves with women, so as to have defiled themselves with them in all their uncleanness. I'm going to stop here for now, because I'm going to try and do chapter by 3 or 4 chapters at a time out of 1 Enoch. So I'm going to stop here. But notice how nothing that I just read you today would seem to contradict what I read you from Jude or Genesis chapter 6. The fallen angels came into this world, took the daughters of men, had Nephilim giant offspring by them, okay? And it was all to corrupt the human DNA line so that the Messiah would not be born. Because remember, Christ told Satan in the garden that he would crush Satan's head, even though Satan would bruise the Lord's heel. Satan understood there would be 2 different seed because the Lord pronounced 2 different seed, the seed of the serpent and the seed of God. And ever since, there's been a seed war going on. And there is a second incursion today of a seed line, a mixed hybrid seed line again with these modern Nephilim, because Satan knows his time is short and he must build an army in this world to stand against the Lord. I think this has been the plan ever since the flood. He hasn't given up. He keeps trying to come back. As a matter of fact, remember when Joshua and Caleb went into the land to spy the land? He said, we look like grasshoppers in these people's sight. That, Israel was constantly being sent by the Lord into these lands to fight Nephilim tribes. So this incursion happened again, even after the flood. But God will put all enemies under his feet very soon. This is coming to an end. Trust me. I just wanted to make this video about showing you the pictures that I got on my phone. Some of them I know what it is. Some I don't. I'll let you decide that, the viewer. Just thought I'd share them with you. And I wanted to start reading from the book of Enoch, which I'll continue to do next week, hopefully, Lord willing. I'll continue to read excerpts from the book of Enoch for you, and then give scriptures from Genesis, from Jude, from Revelation, from Ezekiel, confirming to you what I'm reading out of the book of Enoch. As a matter of fact, the Lord's Zecharia quoted from this when he says he comes with 10,000s of his saints. He quoted the book of Enoch. When the Lord's brother Jude spoke about what the angels did committing fornication, he quoted from 1 Enoch. So I, after praying about it deeply and seeking the Lord about it, have not felt the Holy Spirit telling me not to read this as a wonderful companion book to help elaborate and expand on Genesis 6, on the words of Jude, the book of Revelation, and what Ezekiel saw. It expands on how to understand the Nephilim and what the fallen angels did and what this second incursion of modern-day Nephilim is all about in these last days. Hopefully this was informative for you. Again, feel free to visit the Patreon chat room. You don't have to be a paid member to join in the chat, okay? I can't reiterate that enough. I'd love to fellowship with you there. There are other brothers and sisters that are already fellowshipping there and have brought up interesting conversation. Feel free to join in. Again, I thank those of you who are a paid patron. You made it possible for me to purchase what I need to keep this channel running. And this, what I'm using right now to make this video, came from your generosity, and I really thank you for that. I can't thank you enough. God bless you, and you know who you are. Next video, hopefully I will be sharing more pictures that I took in my backyard. I believe I had another instance of another stick driven into my yard. As a matter of fact, here, let me show that to you now. I don't have to wait for another video. Let me show that to you now. I was going to make that into another video, but I went out into my backyard after these anomalies showed up on my phone from the other night that I just showed you today, and I found another stick jammed into my yard. Here it is. I don't know if you can see it too well on here. I'll try and bring it up and show you, see if you can see it. I don't know how well it's going to come through, but there's a stick jammed up into my ground here. I don't know if you can see it too well. Maybe you can see it now. There it is there. It's just sticking up out of the ground, if you can see that. I went back to the back of my yard and there it was. And I've lived here for many years and never seen things like this before. So there it is. That's even a better picture. Just sticking up out of the ground. I was going to make that another video, but I figured I would just show you today. But went back there yesterday, and this happened to happen. Actually, I found this the following morning after I saw those anomalous pictures on my phone through the night vision on my phone, and then I saw this in the back of my yard. So I'm just saying, I have things that I can't explain, that I believe that further prove to me that we're living in the last days. The enemy could be sending me messages, possibly trying to cause me to fear and not come out with these things, on YouTube. I will give you this. The enemy knows that you know. If you know about certain topics prophetically, he knows that you know. And I think there are times when he will try, because it's a spiritual battle, to frighten you into silence. Okay? Well, it ain't going to happen here. So, thanks to God, he's trained me. And by his power and his grace, I'll continue with his permission to keep making these videos and exposing these topics. And, we can't run off the battlefield. This is a battle, and we have to put on the full armor of God, take the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, and use it against the enemy. And Ephesians 5:11 have nothing to do with the deeds of darkness, but what? Expose them. And this is what this channel is all about, exposing darkness. And as long as God gives me breath and permission, I will continue to do so. Thank you for listening today, and God bless you.